Promotional consideration paid for by the following. The Ohio Neck and Back Pain Relief Center, Scott M. Gray, D.C., across from the Marion Center between TSC and Kroger. For further information, dial 740-386-6580. Also located on the net at goodbackbadback.com. Dryce Roofing and Contracting, LLC, located at 370 East Church Street, right here in Marion. For more information, call 740-751-9516. Specializing in roofing, siding, decks, garages, windows, pole buildings, and complete homes. For more information, again, call Dan Rice, 740-751-9516. Hey, Scott Spears along with you on a Friday edition of The Exchange. Going to try not to move, not to speak, not to shuffle, not to do anything during this episode, because I'm getting beat above the head and shoulders during the break for moving around. So I'm going to be quiet as could be over here today, Norma. I'm just going to not move at all. I'm going to show this picture. This is the Marion Midget Football Group. Martha Douse-Manesi, of course, there, me, and Patty Worcester, who's a great lady, Marion Midget Football.
And Ryan, the Vice President.
Ryan, the Vice President, in the peach shirt as we get into focus there. Perfectly out of focus as only I could do. But Midget Football kicks off September the 11th, which would have been last Sunday with the Popcorn Bowl, but it will go on in Lincoln Park on Sunday afternoons at noon, each and every Sunday until mid-November. It's going to be a lot of fun. Come out there each and every Sunday. Martha, you wanted to show a picture in regard to midget football. We'll do that. Look in the camera when you do it.
I am very proud to announce this is my great-grandson, A.J. Isler, 11 years old. His parents are Adam and Brittany Isler, and he's the Saints team, and they all go to St. Mary's School, and they're called the Saints. He's a quarterback, and he's number 10, and I'm going to watch him 3 weeks in September, 5 weeks in October, and 2 weeks in November. Every Sunday, I go to Lincoln Park at 10:30 in the morning. I go to the Marion Star with the stats, and I get home about 6 o'clock every Sunday. Doesn't that sound fun?
It does, and Martha looks like $1 million on camera, doesn't she? Sparkling, glittering, boa, the whole deal. Now, Charlie, let's give our web page. Let's go to Fascinating Facts. Let's do it all.
What is our web page now?
ExchangeMarion.com.
ExchangeMarion.com. Okay, remember that, ExchangeMarion.com. Okay, and a little bit of controversy today. I don't know if any of you noticed the trains that go through Marion seem like they pull the whistle cord out west of town or east of town and just lay on that whistle all through town all night long. Of course, I don't live in Marion. I don't care. I can still hear the trains in Caledonia, and I'm 4.5 miles from there. But I can only imagine the people in Marion with the trains blowing their whistle all through town all night long. Do they ever lose any sleep here? I know the question has been brought up. Should the trains silence their whistles? I know there has to be studies made of that and everything else.
Yes, they should.
Yes. George, do they ever wake you up?
Every night. 2, 3,
Me
4
too.
o'clock in the morning wakes me up.
And at night, the trains have lights. The crossings have lights. What else do you need? A whistle blowing all through town?
Is it really a law that they blow that at those crossings? I don't know, because like you said, they have the crossings are down,
That's
and
right.
the lights are flashing.
Yeah,
Is
there's
it
everything to
necessary?
indicate a train is coming, and they don't need the whistle at night like that. Well, but anyhow, it's been brought up, but I don't think some of the city officials are in favor of silencing the trains.
Eric Davis told me the other day that he wrote a blog, it's on a blog, that he talks about the whistle. Blowing at night wakes a lot of people up, especially in our area, the whole city.
Right.
I think a lot of people have. I live in the city. I know what you're talking about. Absolutely.
I sleep at 277 Bell Fountain, and I hear the Bell Fountain Avenue 2 tracks.
Yes.
I hear them all night long.
Going north and south, and then you have the east and west.
I sure do, Charlie.
Now, Mary Ann, before we go to words of wisdom, I want you to tell everybody about the box behind you.
Oh, Scott.
Look at that face on Mary Ann when she did that.
This box we're going to hear about all through the rest of this month and all of next month.
The sign,
And I know Charlie is really tired of hearing it as well, but it's for him, and he's going to have to open it, and he is a little leery about it because there might be something in there that he doesn't want. Wouldn't it be nice, Charlie, if there was a fan and there'd be all kinds of money all over the place, and you could just pick out the money?
And I had a fish net with me.
Right, wouldn't that be nice?
What does it say? Enter if you dare.
If you dare, right. So,
Oh,
but
it's spooky, George.
George, we don't want to hear about this every day for 2 months, do we?
No,
No.
Okay.
not at all.
See,
Well-
Scott, I'm not the only one.
Unfortunately, it's not up for a vote. So there you go.
That's true. This is your preference.
It's a dictatorship on the box, and the box is going to be in there as long as I can stand it.
No, the box is all right there, as long as we don't have to talk about it every day.
It's conversation show, Mary Ann. We need to conversate. Sometimes it gets a little dry.
But
We got to pick it up.
How can you change the dialogue when you're talking about a box
Change the dialogue to what?
to what we're seeing, when everybody
October
can see?
31st.
Okay.
Okay. Words of wisdom, Mary Ann. Hit me with it.
Okay, I like what Albert Einstein says anyhow, and this is what he says. Knowledge is limited, but imagination encircles the whole world. And I like that.
That's a nice one. And I forgot to give the quiz answer from yesterday. What future U.S. president once asked Billy Graham to settle an argument with his mom over whether non-Christians go to heaven? George W. Bush did that.
See, I told you it was a bush.
Yeah, but that was kind of ambiguous, Mary Ann.
It was not.
Yeah, I mean, it
I
was.
said
You
it was
didn't
one
say-
of the 2 bushes.
Yeah, but I thought you were talking about across the street, the bushes in the park over there in Busby Park.
Speaking of bushes, remember the old ring around the mulberry bush?
Yes.
That's a tree, not a bush. Mulberry trees, not bushes.
Well, but it didn't fit the music or the
Oh, okay.
the melody.
Would you rather hear about mulberry trees with a box? I'm going to vote for the box. Think about
Well,
that.
I knew that the Bushes were very good friends of the
Billy Graham.
Billy Graham. Yeah, they were.
I agreed with Mary Ann. I
Yes,
said
you
the
did.
bushes.
Yes, you did.
Martha, you want that fish dinner? I can't do it.
But
Please.
George W. jumped out of a perfectly good plane in a parachute.
Oh, I know, and I just thought that was so neat.
George H.W.,
No,
wasn't
George
it?
H.W.
George
Yeah.
H.W.
Oh, that was H.
on
George
his
H.W.
80th birthday.
Yeah.
We're going to move on today to the Tea Party. I don't know what that conversation was about. Norma Jacob, George Casotis here. I do want to make sure to mention that. A few weeks ago, we had the Tea Party on, and let me make sure to say this, because we've never really confronted something like this on this show, but I think it should be done, just because it was kind of bizarre to me how it happened. We invited the Tea Party on. You know, I booked the show. I invited them on. They came on. I thought they were very nice. We talked about what they wanted to talk about. There was no agenda on the table, so on and so forth. We parted, and that was that. Then I noticed later on that after the show aired, and I'm not going to say the names because that's irrelevant at this point, but here were 3 comments that were left on the Voices of Liberty Tea Party webpage along with our show, which was also posted up there. This is what they said. It said, Scott, like most of the mainstream media, is so very ignorant of what values are. it would appear that he has an inability to understand things like constitutionality, limited government, limited federal government, individual freedoms, personal responsibility, free markets, and returning political power to the states and people. Now, another one. If it's not against the law, it's not immoral. Wow. Wonder if God knows that. Or people in other countries. How about the opening gotcha question? Patriot Act or First Amendment? NRA only supports GOP candidates? Only ask for birth certificates because Obama was black? Is this guy a wee bit biased or what? Good job, Judy and Mary Lou. And here's number 3. The panel told us that we watch Fox, F-A-U-X, news, but they didn't know about the NRA backing Strickland, nor the fact that McCain had to show his birth certificate. Besides, how do they know that no other presidential candidate ever had to show their birth certificate? Just because it wasn't documented somewhere in history doesn't mean it didn't happen. Seems like a pretty natural thing to do since one has to show it for many reasons. Now, those were the comments back to us after that show. I thought these ladies were very nice. I liked what we did. I didn't have a problem. Now, I am not saying that I am against the Tea Party. Let me say that right now. And I'm not saying I'm against Democrats or Republicans. But I want to point out some things. The definition of morals, just if you go to a dictionary, the definition of morals is of or relating to principles of right and wrong in behavior. I think laws are an example of that. I don't think I was off base on that. Like I said, if it's not against the law, it's not immoral. I never said that. I said laws were an example of morals. That's what I said on the show. Does God know that? I don't know. I haven't talked to him recently. I'll put that in tonight. But this group hands out the Constitution, and the framers were pretty fervent in their belief of a separation of church and state. So I'm not really sure what God invoking in this had to do with what I said. Now, just to go on, the gun rights group NRA has endorsed 200 Republican candidates for Congress. It's endorsed 64 Democrats. So those are the actual numbers, 200 for Republican, 64 for Democrat. The Patriot Act, this is what they define it as, the government, the Patriot Act, a response to the terrorist attacks of September 11th, dramatically reducing restrictions of law enforcement agencies' ability to search telephone, email communication, medical, financial, and other records, eased restrictions on foreign intelligence gathering within the United States, expanded the Secretary of the Treasury's authority to regulate financial transactions, particularly those involving foreign individuals and entities, and broadened the discretion of law enforcement and immigration authorities in detaining and deporting immigrants suspected of terrorist-related acts. The act also expanded the definition of terrorism to include domestic terrorism, thus enlarging the number of activities to which the U.S. Patriot Act's expanded law enforcement powers could be applied. How can you have the First Amendment freedom of speech when they're allowed to look into your telephone, email, medical, financial, and other records and use it to a certain degree against you? That's just a question. They said, I don't understand, more government, not less. The Department of Homeland Security seems like more government to me. It doesn't seem like less, creating that department. But I think it needs to be there. And the birth certificate thing, McCain was never president, so I don't know why they asked for his, okay. But apparently he did show his birth certificate. No other president has ever had to go in public and show their birth certificate, led by a group called Birthers and Donald Trump. After 3 years of being president in office, he had to show it, and the proper authorities have always maintained that they saw it when he signed up to run for president. So, those are just the facts. Take that for what you may. Now, Marianne, you were here when the Tea Party was here. What do you think?
Well, I think it's great that you researched all that information and were able to come back with facts, you know. And they kept saying we're not a party. Then why did they call themselves the Tea Party if they're not a party?
And how can a party have
I know they're not
candidates?
Registered as a party. I know that.
Right.
But I don't really understand what they're trying to do. I mean, I know they're trying to have less government, but do people really want the airlines not to be under the government? I mean, they don't want to know that when they fly, there are safety precautions for them. When they eat food, they don't want the FDA to be there to test things. They don't want the EPA to protect our environment. They don't want, all of the government agencies. And they provide jobs. I mean, the government provides jobs. I don't understand why they think we have too much government. I just don't understand that.
You were here, as I say, when the Tea Party was here. What do you make of them making, I mean, were the comments accurate that they made? Maybe they were. I'll divorce myself.
Oh, I'm sure they thought they were right. Yeah, and they probably were. They knew about Strickland. I didn't know that.
Well, I'm saying when they came back on Facebook and made the remarks, I mean, were those accurate?
No, I don't think they were. You rebutted them.
Well, I'm not trying to get, because I know this will turn into a rolling thing, and that's fine.
Yeah.
But the point is that when we have somebody on the show, I think Charlie and Marianne and Martha and I, who are here every time, come with the idea that we're going to ask you questions. I mean, that's what a talk show is. Mm-hmm. What I don't understand is why they made it personal back toward me. You know, I'm biased.
Yes, they did.
I'm biased.
Well, and this quote, mainstream media, I don't know what they're talking about. The mainstream media, what is that? Now, you and I have had this conversation before.
Right.
I think that reporters they have to be accurate. They have to deal in facts. You don't put anything on the air that is not a fact. Now, the other programs like MSNBC and Fox News, they are editorial for the most part. Now, they do have their news people too, but a lot of it is editorialized and opinions. And, certain candidates that are of the Tea Party, they don't want to talk to me, what they call mainstream media, because they think they're biased. Well, they're not. I mean, as a journalist, you are pledged to give the facts. I mean, everybody can have their own opinion. Let's face it, everybody can have his or her opinion, but you can't have your own facts.
Charlie, you were here that day. What do you make of the whole hubbub that happened after?
It's kind of interesting. A lot of people said we need less government until you
They
take
run
away
for
something
government.
that they want.
Yes.
Then it's a whole different story. Less government, that sounds peachy. If we have less government, it won't cost much. We can get rid of all these agencies and wow. But less government is not necessarily.
And what happens when there's a hurricane
Yes.
or an earthquake or fires out in Texas?
But you know what they're talking about now, especially in New Jersey, that the government can't give the help that New Jersey needs from Hurricane Irene until they figure out what they can drop
Right.
money-wise elsewhere
Yes.
to provide money that is desperately needed.
Charlie, you sat next to me during that whole bit. Did I come off biased? I mean, I'll be honest. Did I come off biased? Did I come off uninformed?
No, you're acting as the MC, the moderator, whatever. And no, I think it's good that you present questions that suddenly wake people up.
Well, and that's, like I say, I'm sure there's a Tea Party candidate that I might follow. I mean, I don't know them all.
What's the origin of the Tea Party? I mean, I know they're taking it from the tea that was dropped in the ocean in Boston.
I've been studying that.
Yeah.
The Boston Tea Party in
Yeah.
history.
But that was because that was taxation without representation.
From another country.
From another country, from England.
Yeah.
Right. So why do they call themselves the Tea Party? I don't understand that. I never have.
That catchphrase.
Norma, I don't know if you saw the program or not, but I gave you a recap here of what happened. What do you think of that?
I
Boy, this is touchy.
She's
read my heart
horoscope
Give 'em
this
both
morning,
barrels.
and it says that I'm gonna make a lot of people mad.
Oh, did it?
So and I don't believe in all of that stuff, but
But you're afraid.
I don't wanna say anything.
I-
Does that
that-
answer your
That's,
question?
I
That's
think we
fine.
understand,
That's perfectly
Norma.
all right.
George, what do you think? And you can, go ahead.
Have they dumped anything into a lake or a river or a bay? I don't know, but from the Boston, I'm sure they took that name from the Boston.
Well, they did,
Oh, yes.
because what they were doing is they were upset because they were being taxed by England, by the United Kingdom, and they did not have any representation. We have representation. We have a government, and they can, decide.
But
They can.
wasn't it the high taxes on tea itself?
Oh, it was
that they
on
were
tea itself.
protesting?
Yeah, that's what it was, but it was
Yeah.
taxation in general.
Yeah.
Right, but it was on the tea, but I don't understand how that has anything to do with our government.
I want to wrap this around here to this question because this is the one that I found. I really don't like this question at all, and it came up that day. I said they wanted Barack Obama to show his birth certificate because of his ethnicity. That's what I said. Now, then the response was, well, McCain had to show his. I don't understand that response. So let me just ask this of the panel. Why did Barack Obama have to show his birth certificate? Why did it go 3 years into his presidency? Why did that happen, Norma?
They're prejudiced.
Charlie?
Yeah, right.
They couldn't believe that, he could be the president. They just absolutely couldn't believe
How
it.
could this
They're prejudiced.
African-American become a United States, well, he's not an
Well,
African-American,
because
he's an American.
his father
His father,
was
yes.
from Kenya. His mother was from the United States, Hawaii, right?
Right.
And he was born in Hawaii, and Hawaii happens to be one of the 50 states. I never could understand that. And
George?
it just went on and on and on.
George, why did they call for this man's birth certificate 3 years into his presidency?
Maybe they were a bunch of teetotalers, I don't know.
Well, all I'm saying, here's the problem. I like those ladies. I mean, this is not a
Well, they are
referendum
nice
on that.
ladies.
Well, nice ladies.
And
I
they
wouldn't-
handled themselves very well.
handled themselves very well. But to come back when it's over and make comments like these, which I think, if you had just said, these are the facts, blah, 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 that's fine. But to start calling somebody biased and to do it in a public forum and to call them uneducated and things of that nature, I don't buy that, and I think people should be questioned on that. I think that's totally irrelevant.
It begins to sound like Sean, what's his name, and
Hannity.
Rush Limbaugh, it's some of the names they call or comments they make.
Oh, they're
Well,
terrible.
just,
they are.
here's the thing. Rush Limbaugh, he says Messiah. Hannity says what, chosen one.
Yes.
But that's just because that's the way they talk, I guess, Marianne. That's what people say.
Well, and that's what people love to hear, listen to that program. They
And they
like
always
that.
are putting down the mainstream media. What are they on? An oatmeal box?
Yeah.
They're in the mainstream media.
It's not like they're out there with a ham radio.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know.
Well, it says, what is it, Barack Hussein Obama?
Yes.
Oh, they just rattle him.
Well, but if you said, why do they just say, well, that's his name, they wouldn't, the emphasis on the Hussein, we all know what's going on.
But the thing of it is, too, these people from the get-go would say their main objective in 4 years is to see that Obama never is the president again. That's what they started out 4 years ago saying, and over and over and over. No matter what he does, it's wrong. This business about the jobs speech that he's giving, there are Republicans that are not even going to be in the session. I just read that. They're not even going to attend the session.
The
They're not
killing
even
of
listening to it.
Osama bin Laden, they give credit to Bush for that, not to Obama.
Well, let's just say this. I'll say this. Tea Party, if you want to come back on, we'll
Yes.
have another discussion.
Yes.
Go right ahead. You're always welcome. The door is open, Republican, Democrat, whoever.
Yeah.
Just come on and we'll talk some more.
Bravo.
We'll sort it all out.
Yes, because they have something to say.
Sure,
They
sure.
definitely have something, and they can say it as long as it's factual.
That's right. We want to keep everybody educated in the facts of what's going on. Trivia question. If you answer this trivia question right by going to Facebook, The Exchange Marion, you'll get a free fish dinner from O'Michael's Fish and Chips, located on Mount Vernon Avenue in Marion, and a half dozen donuts from Andrew's Pastries, located at 1282 Delaware Avenue in Marion, 387-3830, or contact them at andrewspastries.com. What talk show host was dismayed when Jacques Stitt, the winner of a Ladies' Home Journal lookalike contest, turned out to be male? I guess they were trying to look like the person, and it turned out to be a male person. Do you know who that is, Martha?
Oh, I can think about some parade.
She's ready to go. George, what do you think? What talk show host was that?
Larry King.
Good guess.
That sounds
Mary
good.
Ann?
Jay Leno?
Jay Leno?
Jack Parr.
Jack Parr. Oh, I just saw a DVD on him the other day. Norma?
I don't know.
Don't know? We'll get the answer to that coming up on Monday's program. The last answer man for the week, the answer is Donkey Kong. Donkey Kong. What is the question? George? As your phone goes off, what's the question?
This phone just drove me out of it.
Drove it out. Martha, you have an answer for Donkey Kong?
I told you I can't think of anything but the parade.
Mary Ann?
What is a game
We're still on.
that is like a mule?
Tell Joanne we all say hello. Let Joanne we all...
Let's not have mute.
Saying hello to you on the show, Joanne.
Charlie, come on.
I just invented a new game. What should I
Can
call
you
it?
say hello, Scott?
Hey, Joanne. Norma, catch this on television, 5 and 10. Norma, what do you think? Donkey Kong.
Pick it up.
The answer is Donkey Kong. The question is, name a suburb in Hong Kong. We have to get off. George has got to call. Martha's headed for the parade. Goodbye.